Anna from LeGeekyLiife.
And I'm Julie from InfinityJules.
And this is episode 7.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a new little series for you guys where we're gonna go over all of the movies.
In chronological order.
Yeah, we'll tell you why after our little introduction. But what are you wearing today?
So today, let's see, I gotta put my laptop down. Today I'm wearing a tea turtle shirt that has C-3PO and R2-D2 ET style.
It's so cute.
Flying over the Death Star. I love it. And it made sense with our episode today.
Yeah, I had a really hard time figuring out what to wear today, but I just decided to wear my Tatooine shirt again, which I now remember where I got it. It's called T-24.com. T as in like T-E-E, like t-shirt. And this Jedi hat that I got from Disney. I love it. It's my mom's. But you know, whatever.
Yeah, there's not a lot of stuff made prequel.
I know. I really wanted like a Clone Wars shirt or like something Anakin related. But
yeah. No, and I just saw today on Twitter that there's like a Qui-Gon, or it has Qui-Gon somewhere in the shirt at Target. So I'm like, oh, that's what I'm gonna go look for today. But at least I'm sporting my hair as Qui-Gon.
Yeah. Because Qui-Gon.
I bet it's one of the best.
Let's tell everybody what our pops are.
So,
I feel like this should be our own little segment too.
Yeah.
Discussing our table.
The table decorations for today will always include Mr. We should call him Filoni.
Filoni?
Yes. Or Lachlan should be called Filoni.
I like it.
Yeah.
Filoni.
So we have Filoni here.
Our little loft cat.
And then I'll go over my side. We have R2-D2. Unfinished C-3PO from one of the
perfect for
smugglers
this
bounty.
movie.
Yeah. We have Mr. Jawa. And one of my favorite acquisitions ever is Force Ghost Qui-Gon, which lights up at night.
Does he?
It glows in the dark.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
So as Princess Leia.
Nice beings we are.
Yeah.
So cute.
Who's on your side?
So I have Plo Koon over here because he, appears in the council like once. We have Yoda because he has a couple lines, and of course we have Darth Maul, but he's from Rebels. But oh well, it counts.
Yes. So those are our pops for today.
And then I have this awesome water bottle I got from Box Lunch that has Darth Vader all
that I
over
want
it.
to steal.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's
perfect.
Dark side water.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk about the news going on this week.
So this week has been a little, not too much going on, but the Star Wars show recently made a new show that is called Star Wars and Science, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they released episode 1, and it's the dude from Star Wars show.
Carboni.
That guy. And the voice actor of Ezra Bridger, and they're making a real-life lightsaber.
That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They do a Qui-Gon, where he's
nice.
the door, the circle thing. Which is
I have to watch it.
It's entertaining, and they put science behind it, but real-world application, which is cool. So I dug it.
Yeah, we have a lot of guests coming out soon. And so I like a little previews. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. And come on, it's Star Wars and science.
Exactly.
We can't get better than that. So it's pretty cool. Another news is Star Wars Galactic Nights returning to Disney Hollywood Studios. So this December 16 actually.
The day after Last Jedi comes out.
Yeah, there's gonna be a Star Wars inspired party at Disney's Hollywood Studios, both in California and here in Florida.
Yes.
And there's just gonna be a lot of cool Star Wars related Last Jedi stuff. So it's gonna be a party, fireworks, red carpet. I'm guessing a lot of exclusive. I'm guessing the 501st probably will be there. All the good stuff.
I had gone to Galactic Nights. I believe it was Galactic Nights at least when I think The Force Awakens came out, or right before The Force Awakens came out. It was amazing. The entire time at the parks, there's a million shows going on. You see, the characters come out, and Kylo Ren, I remember Snapchatting him, oh, my boyfriend, and all this different stuff. And, the fireworks show was right after Fantasmic, which is the show at Hollywood Studios, and we literally ran, and we got right in front of I think it's called the Chinese Theater in the one here in Orlando, and we sat down, and they were right above us. The fireworks, literally ash falling on us. It was amazing, and the fireworks went with the music of John Williams throughout the movies though. So they went from episode 1 to 7, and at this time, like, the movie hadn't come out yet, so it was the trailer. So you hear Maz, and then you hear Kylo's music and all the red fireworks, and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
amazing.
I actually saw the Star Wars fireworks, not Galactic Night, but they had it for a couple of months.
I
Because
saw
I
those too.
went for my honeymoon, and it was when I got married the day of Force Awakens, so it was like that weekend we went, and the fireworks were everything. Like, it was beautiful.
I think I still have videos actually saved, so maybe I could put those on the Facebook or something.
Yeah, we'll definitely post it so you guys can figure out if it's something you would like. And it's amazing. I would truly recommend
go to Galactic Nights. We will figure that out.
I'm just worried that it's the day, like it's December 16th. Like,
I know we're gonna do that Thursday premiere and then book it to Orlando the next day.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
In other news, New York Comic Con is coming up very soon, and Star Wars, from a certain point of view, will be released October 3rd, which I believe is like 2 weeks before New York Comic Con, or maybe the same weekend.
This is the day before,
weekend, right?
It's that Thursday, actually.
A certain point of view is what is the word for it? When it's like a whole bunch of...
So, well, like a novel, but
it's like a...
different stories.
Different stories. It's going to pertain... It's going to have 40 different short stories for the 40th anniversary of like a whole bunch of different characters. We're going to see Boba Fett. We're going to see
short
Leia.
stories.
We're going to see characters that we haven't really seen too much of. I think we're even going to see one of the characters from the new Battlefront game and Inferno Squad, which I'm reading now. I finished Phasma because I have a problem. And yeah, so it's going to have, the audiobook is going to have a whole bunch of different people voicing each short story and all this crazy stuff. It's going to be a huge deal.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And 40 different authors for each short story too, which is another
sounds
crazy thing.
Amazing. Can't wait to read it. And I know New York Comic Con has their own cover.
Right.
Exclusive cover. So if you're going to New York Comic Con,
pick one up for us.
Yes. Send it to us. We'll pay Paul you the money. Okay. So now talking about our episode for today. So today's episode is going to be about the Phantom Menace. So we're going to do a little series where we discuss the movies in chronological order. Now, disclaimer, if you guys haven't watched Star Wars, which
is weird that you're watching us, thank you.
Anyway, or if you want to always rewatch it, I always recommend watching 4, 5, and 6 before. Like, it was intended that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then watch 1, 2, 3, 7, and then Rogue One.
Yeah.
But we're discussing everything and how it started, and so we're gonna start with episode 1.
Yeah. That way we can see like the character interactions and like be like, oh yeah, so that was for this over here in like A New Hope, for example, or like, oh, the parallels of Tatooine, and like stuff like that.
Yeah. And we're gonna separate our talk in 3 main topics, which are gonna be characters, plots, and fights.
Because you know us and fights.
We need to discuss every fight in the movies. Okay, so let's get started with the characters.
So first we have Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is one of I think he's like the main character of this movie.
Yeah.
More so than Anakin, more so than Obi-Wan. He's like the one that we're following the entire time.
Yeah, he shows us the whole story in kind of like his way.
Right.
And his journey. And from the beginning we see that he's a little rebel Jedi. He questions a lot of things about the Force. He questions a lot of things about the Council.
Yeah.
And he's very in tune to the Force that he's the one that discovers Anakin.
Well, I was mentioning this to you before we started recording, that I think in the new Jedi book, like the handbook, the canon one, I think they actually mentioned that Qui-Gon, or like hint that Qui-Gon might be a little bit of a gray Jedi. And I think even like before in Legends, they considered him that as well.
Yeah.
Because of his like connection to the Force and his like, he doesn't really believe in the Jedi.
True.
The Jedi, whatever it's called.
Code.
The code.
Yeah. That. Yeah, and also I feel like there's a part where Yoda is talking to Obi-Wan and he mentions like, oh, you're following his footsteps, or like, you're gonna be questioning like Qui-Gon did. So everybody knew, which also ties into like all the Force-related episodes in Clone Wars.
Oh, of course.
It makes so much sense. And also, I love the way Qui-Gon is always super calm talking. And he has, like, one of my favorite quotes comes out in this movie when he's talking to Anakin, and he says, your focus determines your reality. Like, that's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. So, yeah, I love his quotes in the movie. Yeah. And he's always, like, giving you the hope. So it's pretty cool.
He's definitely the most, like, wise in this movie, even though Yoda is there. I feel like Qui-Gon is like the embodiment of like wisdom in this movie.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's what helps, I think, Anakin and his like, oh yeah, I want to be a Jedi too.
And it also makes me, I always say her name wrong, Shmi?
Okay.
Shmi, have like confidence in Qui-Gon that he's going to take care of Anakin.
Yeah.
And he's able to help him. Yeah. And now Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan's a prick in this movie.
I love Obi-Wan. I mean, I rewatched the movie this morning and I was like,
also
Ewan McGregor looks like a baby. His
hair.
After seeing him in Fargo, it's like, whoa. But I love that he, in this movie, is very obedient to Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And that shows the kind of master he becomes.
Later on, I agree. Or like, it was also like, at the beginning of the movie, he's very obedient to the Jedi Council and the Jedi Order and all that. But then, like, as the movie progresses and things happen to Qui-Gon, he seems to become more obedient to Qui-Gon.
Yeah. And the journey, even, like, not counting this movie, maybe from their missions before, because this is probably not the first time they were together, kind of shows him all the time that Qui-Gon is teaching him, and he's very, like, okay, I'm going to listen to what he's saying.
Well, Obi-Wan was a Padawan in this movie, right? He was Qui-Gon's Padawan? Okay. Because I know in the end of the movie they grant him the title of Jedi Master, but I wasn't sure if in this movie he was his Padawan or if he was like what Anakin was to Obi-Wan later on, like the Jedi Knight. But he had the braid.
Yeah, he's still a Padawan, and actually I think, if I'm not wrong, Qui-Gon calls him Padawan a couple times in this movie.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and the braid he has the braid still. And in the end where they're doing the Qui-Gon cremation, he doesn't have the braid anymore. And he's with the hood up and
Well, yeah, by then he became a knight. That's why Anakin was his.
Yeah. And I like that Obi-Wan took over his master's steps and he was able, like, I trusted my master. He left Anakin and he told me he was the chosen one. So I'm going to grant him that wish, and I'm going to take him as my Padawan.
Yeah, because I remember there's even the scene in the council where Qui-Gon brings Anakin for the first time and Obi-Wan's there, and Yoda and Mace are like, you already have Obi-Wan as your Padawan. You can't have two.
Yeah.
And that's when Obi-Wan steps up and is like, I will take him, and Qui-Gon vouches for Obi-Wan, saying like, oh yes, I don't think he needs to be a Padawan anymore. He can now be a knight.
Yeah, which also shows that like Qui-Gon believed in his Padawan.
Right.
So it was really nice.
And you could tell that there was more than just like apprentice and master there with their friendship. There was definitely like when he's like holding him and he's not dying, like
you can definitely see that attachment that wasn't allowed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Obi-Wan does something that some people might consider a dark side move, but you know, whatever. It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah. We don't always have our good days.
Mm-hmm.
But
speaking of the connection that they had, let's talk about Anakin.
Anakin, first of all, super young kid. Like a little kid.
So, to avoid critiquing, I want to say that people think that Anakin and Jar Jar are the worst aspects of this movie. We'll avoid that.
We won't go there.
We won't go there. Personally, I think the yeehaws and the yippies are the worst aspect of this movie. But it's okay. I think it's really cool to see Anakin beginning.
Yeah, to see the beginning of Anakin. And I love the fact that even though it's the start of Anakin, we see him already being a little rebel.
Yeah.
We see him like, okay, no guys, I'm going to do the pot racing and I'm going to get you those parts. But then Qui-Gon told me to stay here, but no, I'm going to fly away and rescue people. So we already see that, oh, he's not an ordinary kid. Like, he's a little rebel.
I also really like that when we see him being a little rebel, we also hear the Darth Vader music a little bit. And it's like, oh, the chills that I'm getting right now. It's like, oh, that's a little Vader right there.
Yeah. And plus we see his piloting skills since a young age. So
Exactly.
When we start talking about other movies, like, we can come back and we're like, oh no, it was not something that he learned. Like, he's had that talent since he was little.
Right.
And he was in survival mode. And he took pod racing to like, okay, I need to survive in this crazy land of Tatooine, and I'm a slave, so I need to do what I gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was definitely the best pilot, and I think that is gonna go into Luke as to why Luke was such a good pilot as well.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And then there's the whole birth thing going on with him.
No father.
Yeah, which is a little different because, like, from what we've seen from 4 through 6, like, we see, like, the whole, like, father-son thing being, like, one of the biggest aspects of the movie. So it's kind of cool that we don't see that at all in this movie.
Yeah.
In this trilogy.
Which kind of, I'm like, does it make it more intense, or like, I don't know the correct word right now. So does it make it more important that after there's like a father relationship?
Oh.
Like, that's what I was like getting from watching it today. It's like, okay, yeah, she talks about, no, he didn't have a father. And I'm like, oh, but father and son, master and apprentice, like Jedi master and Padawan was such an important relationship in all of the other movies. Like, is this like something like, oh wait, I didn't have a father. Is this why I was so interested in becoming a father? Or like relationships? I don't know. It was just like, ooh, I love this.
Okay. Because I mean, like, Obi-Wan kind of becomes like Anakin's father for a little while.
Yeah.
Also brother, also best friend. It was a weird little relationship they had going on for a while. But what you said exactly is true. Like, the whole, like, the master and apprentice, it replicates that father-son relationship. And is that why he found it so hard to be Luke's father in episodes 4 and 5, but then found it like he had to in episode 6, and all these weird emotions, because he didn't know how to be a father because he never had one.
Yeah. Or does that, like, also, I'm saying this from a psychology view, does this make you understand why he's a little rebel? Like, he didn't have that father figure, or like,
well, my mom believes that that's why he went dark side, because he didn't have the mother that he was taken away from her.
Yeah, like, he's stripped out of both. I mean, he did not have a father, but he doesn't have that father role.
Right.
And then you have a mom, but we'll talk about those after. But yeah, you guys stripped out your mom too.
Exactly.
It's not an easy childhood. And we see,
no.
and that's something, we see it from the beginning. We see he doesn't have an easy childhood. So that makes you
he's
start
literally a slave. And I mean,
understanding.
I'm blanking on the guy's name right now, but his owner was, like, out of slave owners as far as they go, like, he was a relatively good owner.
Yeah. Like, he gave him, and I feel like sometimes he treated it nice, like, or not nice, but like, he cared a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, go get this kid. Like, you know, those little nicknames that you give with somebody that you care.
Right. He treated him more like an employee than like a slave.
Exactly. And then it was like, okay, I'll make that trade. I don't know. It's very interesting, but
it's a weird dynamic, but it's because they also had a house.
Yeah.
Anakin and his mom.
Yeah, even though they were slaves, it didn't seem like it was such a bad slave like we see later on.
Like they were not no slave Leia
exactly
thing going on. There
were in chains.
Yeah, exactly.
And then talking about women, we have Miss Padme.
So Padme is interesting. I'll be honest, I've never been a huge Padme fan. Out of like the main females in Star Wars, she's always been on my lower list. But like, I tried to watch this with a Clone Wars set of mind.
And it totally makes a difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference with the crappy animation. I was like, oh no, that's just Clone Wars. That's Clone Wars. Yeah. And all this stuff. But yeah, Padme is definitely an interesting character in this.
Yeah, I feel like since the beginning she's crossing the line. If she's not no ordinary senator or queen, because she's still a queen in this episode. Yeah. So it's interesting to see that she cares a lot and will go over the edge to find out information. Yeah, and she's also not like afraid. She doesn't use that border that queens have, that they're like behind, they're on the throne, they're higher above. She literally gets told to watch R2-D2. Like, I always thought, I was like, yeah, go. Yeah, like, oh, you're a queen. Like, go watch like the handmaiden who was pretending to be Queen Amidala in that moment must have been like, play a prank on you. I'm telling my boss what to do. Yeah. No, that's very interesting. But at the same time, like, I feel it's always the opposite. It's always like people are trying to escape being the military force. Mm-hmm. And they will hide in that queen or royalty position. But she was the opposite. She didn't mind being on the ground. Yeah. And she wanted a decoy for their queen purposes. Right. So that was pretty cool to see. How almost everybody didn't realize that it was Natalie Portman when it was Natalie Portman, and Keira Knightley when it was Keira Knightley, and the other girl when it was the other girl. I don't understand. Because I noticed like instantly, I was like, oh, it's Natalie Portman. Oh, it's not Natalie Portman now. Oh, well, she's over there now. Yeah, but I feel like because we're looking at it. Because we know already. Because we know already, and we're looking at it. All the other people did not know. They always saw, like, the makeup and her outfits, which all her outfits are amazing. Yeah, yeah. And her voice is also different. Like, her voice from when she's Padme, or the handmaiden Padme, is different from when she's, like, Queen Amidala. But I feel like maybe that's also part of it. Like, they're all, like, masking. They're all doing that same weird, like, blah, blah. Queen voice. That's what I call it. The queen voice. Like, I'm going to queen, so I gotta talk like this. It's something weird. It is. It's, like, very monotone. Yeah. And then we also have the theory that Qui-Gon knew the whole time. Oh, yeah. I feel like sometimes that's why he will say certain sarcastic comments like, oh, the queen approves. And she's like, oh, you really think too much. Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about. And then when she reveals herself, and Keira Knightley's Queen Amidala right now, he smiles. Yeah, he's just like, yeah, obviously. And I also feel that same way when she's taken to him, like, right before, when he's, like, just gets off the ship to go to Tatooine, and her guard is like, oh, the queen wants to go. And he kind of gives Padme, like, a look like, and it's just like, yeah, you know, babysit the queen again. And also, this is why I feel sometimes people have a hard time with her relationship with Anakin. Because we see the age gap in this movie. So I was thinking about that the majority of the movie, because that's a very big controversial thing. Like, oh yeah, Padme's a cougar. But in this movie, if you look at like Padme's like size and everything, like Natalie Portman was definitely older. But I'm sure that Padme herself was supposed to be younger. Yeah. Like, she's definitely, she literally got on her knees to hug Anakin at one point. So there's definitely, like, a height difference. But maybe she's just a little bit more, maybe it's not, like, a huge age gap. If I remember, I think she's 12 and he's 8. Yeah. I remember something him being like 8. That. Okay. So, like, you know, when you're a girl at that age, you have that growth spurt. Exactly. Well, you know, boys usually take a little bit longer. Right. So, yeah. I guess. Yeah, it could be that. And then, whatever, love is love. We are no one to judge. And then talking about Tatooine, we have Mr. Sebulba. Yeah. So, which I feel like it was a very interesting creature. I love all the creatures in Star Wars, and I don't know how they come. Well, I've seen videos of how they come up with, like, they mix certain animals, and it's very interesting. The porgs are the seal penguins. Yeah. So he's a Doug, right? Yeah. And there's a character in Phasma who's a Doug, and there's a character that was just like kind of briefly mentioned in Inferno Squad, which I'm now reading, who is also a Doug. And
I kind of didn't know what a dug was when I was reading it. I didn't even bother looking it up because the way they described it, I had a feeling it was that creature. But I thought of the one from Clone Wars.
Oh,
and
okay.
so when they said it in this movie, I was like, oh, so I was right. Cool, okay. So, like, I kind of know, like, a little bit more about them just because I was, like, reading the books recently. That kind of just, like, briefly discussed them. But I do think the creature is cool, like, that he walks with his hands and uses his feet to grab things.
Yeah. Which then it's very interesting for me to think, how did he race?
Yeah, like, did he steer with his feet?
So it's like both, like, hands and it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I like how Star Wars always kind of shows that it's not good to be overconfident.
Yeah.
And we see it here with Mr. Sebulba, because his overconfidence made him lose the race.
You could argue that Anakin's overconfidence made him lose his legs and arms.
Mm-hmm. So we start seeing that theme throughout Star Wars, and it's like, here, I'm gonna hit that theme. Right?
Yeah, and he's like one of the bad guys in this movie who's like the scummy bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, we have the Trade Federation actual bad guy, but then we have this guy who's just like a scumbag.
Yeah.
Who we kind of are supposed to hate.
In Tatooine. Looking like a scum.
He probably hangs out at Mos Eisley a little too much.
And then we have R2 and C-3PO.
So I always find it really weird that Anakin made C-3PO. I think it's really cool because it has that deeper connection and everything. But like upon watching every other movie, every other show, you would assume that the droid he made was R2 because of like their bond and everything. And R2 just kind of comes into being. Like, you have no idea what he was doing before that.
Yeah, he's literally lined up with other astromechs.
There's even another R2 unit that's the same color and everything. Yeah.
Well, yeah, not the same color. Yeah, the same color is one. There's a pink one and there's a yellow one.
Yeah.
And there's another one that is the other version.
And then there's the R5.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, since the beginning we see like, oh yeah, he's a hero because he's the only one that's standing.
Yeah.
With his little noises.
And he's terrified, but he's doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's weird to see like C-3PO being made by Anakin, especially when C-3PO becomes more like Padme's droid.
Yeah.
In Clone Wars. And then Leia's droid in later worlds.
And then Anakin is always with R2.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But at the same time, I feel like it shows us like, okay, this is the droid that Anakin made. And then it's the one that he gave to Padme to keep her safe.
That's true. Well, to translate. But you know, yeah.
And always interrupt in good parts.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Biggest cock block.
But I love that this is the part where they met, and it shows immediately the relationship. Like, R2 is like, bro, you're naked.
Yeah, he's naked. What is that?
So when I saw the shirt, I was like, oh yes, I love that part. It starts showing like who they are.
I love the way you just said that. I can totally see R2 just like, not even saying hello. Dude, you're naked.
Yeah. Like, well, come on. Like,
do droids even have a concept of what naked is? It's like,
I guess R2 is very smart that he knows that that dude is naked.
R2's a player.
I gotta love R2. But it's super cool. And then talking about the other side of the Force.
Backtrack.
Chancellor. He becomes Chancellor Palpatine at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Senator Palpatine.
Senator Palpatine. Which I like that we start seeing Darth Sidious. And if we really, like, let's say we haven't watched Star Wars
you don't
ever, and we don't know, and then you don't really see that he's Chancellor. Like,
you can't make
he's very hidden. So it's not like other movies that we really see, like, half of his face. In this one, we really can't see much.
No, it's literally just this from the nose to, like, the chin. He has a double chin, so, I mean, we don't...
I promise. But, I mean... this is the movie where he looks the happiest.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so weird, like, watching it again after I watch Clone Wars all the time, that he's so serious. And this one, he's so happy.
So I have a question that just dawned on me.
Okay.
In the movie, they say that there have been no Siths for a millennia, right?
Mm-hmm.
how old is Palpatine? If the last Sith was Plagueis, and he killed Plagueis,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a millennia since the last Sith.
We need to research that.
Yeah, because that's a very,
Very interesting point.
Yeah.
Even though we know that he knows very dark magic, let's call it that way.
Like he could have figured out a way to live.
Yeah, if he brought people from the dead and he knew how to do that, because that was what he was telling Anakin. Interesting. We'll research on that, and if you guys know, post it on our Facebook. We'll do a little
or Twitter
trivia or something. And
yeah, awesome.
That's very interesting. And then talking about Siths, we have
the Sith of the movie,
Maul,
now known as Darth Maul. He's still Darth Maul at this point.
Yeah, and he is an actual Sith.
Yeah, he's the apprentice.
He is the apprentice, and here's the beginning where we see like there's always two.
Yeah.
Yoda's telling Mace Windu and talking about it when Mace Windu confirms it. So pretty interesting. Very, very interesting that even though they're dark side, you still have that important relationship of master and apprentice. I've always thought that, like, you know, people in the dark side should be like, oh, I'm the only one. But no, you still need somebody.
And the quotes for that whole, like, philosophy are amazing. Always
super intense. Yeah.
One who seeks the power and one who wields it. It's like,
you have a connection. You still have a connection, which from here it starts to understand Maul's journey.
Okay, so it just hit me. We're gonna have an episode on Maul.
We need to, right?
Because every freaking episode we go into an in-depth conversation about Maul, and I think we just need
we need a Maul.
Like last episode with Han Solo, we need Maul.
Yeah, so that will be the next one. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But not to derail on the conversation, it's the first time we see a dual blade, which is your favorite.
I love them. It's the first time we see anything that's not just the stereotypical single lightsaber blade. You know, all we saw were Anakin's two, Luke's two, Obi-Wan's, and Darth Vader's.
Yeah.
And that was it. But now
very simple.
We're widening our horizon. We see multiple lightsabers. We see the staff.
Yeah. And the lightsabers in general in the prequels are a little different. They're a little bit thicker. You see more of the handle for some of them. Like Qui-Gon's was black with the red button.
Right.
So
the light is a little different. Like it's more like white on the inside and then the color on the outside.
Yeah. And then plus Maul is such a great staff wielder. Mm-hmm. And just as a side note, Ray Park did amazing in this movie. He is such a nice guy. I met him last year, and wow, like I want to fight like him.
I know, me too.
And talking about interesting characters, we have
with lightsabers. We see a purple lightsaber for the first time, especially requested by Samuel L. Jackson.
I love that. That's his story. Like, no, I requested one.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to be in this movie unless I get a purple lightsaber.
Mace Windu is an interesting character. He's very serious. He's very like Mr. Know-It-All, and he's very into the Jedi code.
So in a weird way, Mace Windu is like my most hated character in the series, but not in like a negative way. It's like that I love to hate him kind of thing. Like I actually really like Mace Windu, but in a way that I actually hate him. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's weird, but like I feel like he's the cause for almost all the shit that happens in every movie. Like that's all his fault.
He's the reason why we have Darth Vader.
Yeah, he's the reason why Darth Vader exists. He's the reason why the dark side exists.
And I gotta thank him. No, he's a very interesting character, and we see his relationship with the council, and he's
in the council too.
Yeah, he's very like general.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Yoda, which is boss, and then Mace Windu.
I feel like he's the devil's advocate.
Okay.
For the council and for Anakin and for Windu. He is Windu. For Qui-Gon, like everything like that.
Yeah.
And like he's the one who sees the negative of everything.
Yeah. I can totally see that. And then with that, we have Yoda.
Yeah.
We have Yoda, who is showing us like he is the master of everybody in the council, that he's very wise. And then at the same time, he's very mad about the whole Anakin situation.
Yeah, this is, I think this is like the maddest I've seen Yoda, even more than when he was frustrated with Luke on Dagobah.
But then watching it in this order makes us realize so much is gonna go on with Yoda after. Like, does he feel responsible? Is it something that he could have prevented? Is this like why he was feeling that this wasn't a good idea?
Okay. Because he is the strongest one with the Force, so maybe he had a sense that it wouldn't turn out okay.
Yeah, and at the same time, so we see it from here, he is very trustworthy with Qui-Gon.
Yes.
In some sense. Like,
he's also a little scared. Yeah, exactly.
He questions him, but at the same time, I feel like he feels how much in tune Qui-Gon is with the Force.
And so he trusts his opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Cool. And then non-human related. Non-human. We have the droids, and this is the first. Well, yeah, technically episode 1 will be the first time we see battle droids. I love that it's droids and not humans.
I think they did that so that when we see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan like slashing through all of them, they weren't going to be humans, like stormtroopers that they're killing. Because, you know, some people might have had some issues with them blowing up the Death Star filled with thousands of human beings on there. But this way it makes it a lot easier to see them like slicing through human beings. I mean,
it gives them more of a spotlight.
Yeah.
Like the droids are just whatever. Like, oh, look, the Jedis and they're humans, and look how they're fighting with such an elegant weapon.
I'm not gonna lie, I totally missed the Clone Wars voice actor for the droids. I was like, the Roger just wasn't the same.
I know. I hadn't watched episode 1 last year, so I hadn't watched episode 1 for a while, and that I'm obsessed with Clone Wars and watching it almost every day, it was a little different. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, oh, but this and this and this. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, episode 1 is also the same one that I've seen the least. Like, I remember, I watch all of them, like, all the time. But I don't remember the last time I saw all of episode 1. Okay. I remember after Celebration, I saw all of them. But I don't think I saw episode 1 when I was watching them all.
Oh, I did the opposite. I watched all of them before we went to Celebration. So I was like, it's not even last year. It's April.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was...
I did all of Clone Wars. And season 1 and 2 of Rebels before.
Oh, yeah, because I was like, no, you gotta watch Rebels.
I was trying to on a tech constraint.
Okay, now we're gonna transition to talking about the plot of the movie.
Yeah. So, the whole plot is... And so, we were mentioning this earlier as well, that this movie, even though it has some bad criticism for Jar Jar and Anakin, those two characters definitely are trying to appeal to, like, the kids more. So people will say this movie's a kid's movie. But then you have the whole political side of the movie. And at the same time, like, okay, the political side is for adults. It's the same concept as with Clone Wars, that some episodes are insanely political. And like, oh, how are kids going to even enjoy this? But, as Mr. Filoni said,
Star Wars is for everyone. And I was telling Julie before we started recording, I mean, most of you guys know that I work with special needs children, so I love to watch and use Star Wars as reinforcers. And some things, like, I will watch certain episodes and certain parts of episodes of Clone Wars, and I realized that one kid that, you know, super smart, a little genius, will enjoy that episode totally different than I did. Now, obviously, I'm way older. But it's, like, interesting that he did not notice that political side.
Okay.
But still enjoyed the other side, and he was very entertained. So it goes back to, like, okay, let's leave Jar Jar for the kids and talk and use the political side for us.
So that's another thing, too. Like I said before, I hadn't watched this movie in a really long time. But now that I watched it again older and, like, actually paid attention and had that Clone Wars mindset, I was like, oh, the political side of this movie makes a lot more sense. And now the movie as a whole makes a lot more sense. Like
you understand it more.
Yeah, it makes sense why they went to Tatooine now. It makes sense why they got Anakin. It makes sense why they did this and that and everything.
Yeah, it makes sense why Queen Amidala in all of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Why then, you know, she's so interested in becoming a senator. And yeah, it ties it in very nicely.
Yeah, I, as you guys know, used to be a prequel hater before I saw Clone Wars, and now I'm like, alright, I have no good mind. But this is, I think, the first time I've seen episode 1 without being a prequel hater. And like I said, I think it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Plus, it's been almost, like, if we talk about the movies, it was like almost 20 years before, since we hadn't seen the Star Wars,
right.
You know, after Return of the Jedi. So I feel it was a good introduction and explains, like, the problems with why the political is so important and why are the Jedi involved with it.
Yeah. So I've mentioned this movie before in the past, and I definitely still recommend it to everybody, even though it's kind of a stupid comedy, but it's wonderful. It's called Fanboys, and it takes place in between the break. It takes place, I think, actually a year before Phantom Menace comes out.
Okay.
And it literally ends with, like, all the friends sitting in the row in the movie theater, and it's, like, right before, like, you see a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and they just look over at each other and like, guys, what if this movie sucks? And then roll credits. It's a really good movie, and I think it's very fitting. And our power just stuttered a little bit.
Oh my goodness, I was scared. Please, no more hurricanes. Guys, we just went through Hurricane Irma, and right now I just noticed it's very dark.
It's very dark, and that is why it is also dark there.
So we're going to take a quick technical pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I saw it, I was like, oh god. So, okay, we're back from our slight technical difficulties. Our audio might sound a little weird because all of it just deleted when the power flickered off. But, you know, whatever. Well, it'll be whatever. You guys will enjoy us anyway.
It's Florida.
It's really dark outside. Like,
it's hurricane season. Sorry, guys. But going back to the plot. So the movie's, I guess, main theme...
Main conflict,
there's a better word. Not talking about the Jedi's, is the blockade on the Trade Federation.
Yeah, that is technically the main focus of the movie. That's what sets it all off, and it's the blockade on Naboo.
Yes. And it actually mentions it in the opening credits, and we go right to it. Right. And we have, which right now, I can't remember the names.
Those weird alien guys.
Oh man. Viceroy.
Okay.
Those. Well, yeah. They're blocking. Sorry, guys. The power went off, so my brain.
So yeah, our brain shot.
But yeah, that's the actual main theme, main concept, and main conflict of the movie.
That's why Padme leaves Naboo. That's why Palpatine's around. That's why Maul is around.
Yeah, that's why Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are sent in this mission to kind of spy and become the ambassadors.
Mm-hmm. That's why they flee to Tatooine and meet Anakin.
Yeah, that's why we see Jar Jar of the gun.
It's the shoot-off point.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. You know, it's a very different theme to
it introduces the politics.
Yeah, it's not like you were saying. It's not a typical science fiction.
Oh yeah, so before we started recording, I was talking to her about the fact that 4, 5, and 6 are science fantasy, not science fiction. The Force exists, and it's some kind of magic that we don't know why it exists, what it's about. So it's not fiction, science fiction, because science fiction puts science behind the fiction, while science fantasy doesn't. So, for example, Harry Potter, fantasy. However, in the prequels, they go back to that science fiction route a little bit more with the midichlorians is the reason why the Force exists. The blockade is like part of the politics behind this galaxy that we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Etc., etc.
Yeah. And it's very interesting, and I like how it's not like, oh yeah, it's a lot of space. Like, no, we have stuff that could happen.
Yeah.
And might be happening in the real world.
And we see that this conflict is not the Empire.
Exactly.
It's something else, and it kind of like world builds a little bit. So, you know, there's more than just the Empire and the Rebellion. There's more than just the Republic and the Galactic.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also a very good introduction to good versus evil.
Yes, without going too much into the definition of good and evil.
Exactly.
Both are a little bit of both.
Yeah, and for some reason, for some people, they might start understanding the other side of the Republic.
Right.
So it's very,
what we were talking about earlier, the Council is a little bit on the bad side of this. A little bit.
Just a bit. It's pretty cool. We see the first time of the Chosen One.
Yes, we do.
So I feel like this is a good intro to a lot of episodes in Rebels.
Clone Wars, too.
In Clone Wars. So, Qui-Gon's death is a great foreshadowing or
like spark?
for the ending of Rebels Season 3.
Okay.
With, like always we talk about, Maul dying. But I mean, they died in the same way.
Right.
So
because of the same thing.
Reason. And it goes back to this movie. I mean, you killed his master, so that revenge is still there. You go into that same position, which we see in this movie. And how they carry each other at the end is how Obi-Wan might be carrying Darth Maul. So it ties in, and it's pretty nice.
Yep. Man, this is like our favorite topic, I think. Like, that fight and like what it means. But the fact that Darth Maul had the fucking, excuse my language, but, you know, the guts to do the same thing he did to Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like,
no, and it's really like one of the first times that we see, why is he so important? Because he's gonna bring balance to the Force, and how it might be for some people think that Anakin's not the chosen one, that Luke is the chosen one. So there's gonna be like, okay, but look, let's see, Qui-Gon telling Obi-Wan he is the chosen one. He really believes that he is the chosen one. So
as much as I am a Luke fan, Luke is definitely, without a doubt, weaker than Anakin is in the Force. Without a doubt. I love that. Like, my love for Luke far exceeds my love for Anakin. Like, I know that's kind of not that great, but whatever. I love Luke. And it's true. Like, Anakin is definitely the chosen one. And if you watch Return of the Jedi, he is the one who brings balance.
Yeah.
It's not Luke. It's Anakin, Darth Vader, who kills Palpatine.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting because look, now we're watching episode 1 like this. Now once we get to episode 6, this all ties in.
Exactly. With episode 4, 5, and 6, we don't know anything about this prophecy.
Yeah.
But now we do. And now we know that in a really roundabout way why Anakin brought balance to the Force.
Yeah.
I hope you guys hear the lightning. I mean,
it's crazy. I'm looking because I had something saved, but okay. I love that there was an interview that Filoni went, and I'm not gonna go over, but one of the things he said is that where is it? I'm sorry, commercials. Well, but he mentioned, not to take more time. He said, that's where the prophecy of the chosen one and the one who will bring balance, as quoted by Mace Windu, really comes from. So I find it very interesting because the prequels add a tremendous amount of depth to all these things, especially ways of the Force. The people, I don't think, realize that that's where it comes from. But it's not something that's natural to the original trilogy. It's something that stems from the prequels, which added a tremendous amount to what we know about Star Wars.
I also want to clarify, I think you accidentally emphasized it, but like it just dawned on me that it says the chosen one and the one who will bring balance to the Force. They don't necessarily have to be the same person.
That's true.
So maybe it's possible that he's the chosen one because he makes the one who will bring balance to the Force.
That's very
maybe
interesting.
We'll see in episode 8.
Yeah.
He further brings balance to the Force.
So this is another reason why you guys need to appreciate the prequels. Whether you like it or not, it's your opinion. You're entitled to it. but it's the appreciation that you have for this movie and everything that came with this movie.
Yeah.
With themes and like conflicts and prophecies and mythology. It's all packed in this beautiful Phantom Menace.
So from like a film point of view, I will admit that a lot of the structure seems a little off. The script is atrocious for the entire prequel series, but the actual concept and the thought that goes behind each of the episodes, in like what we see in Clone Wars, is so well thought out and so well like articulated into fitting in with the prequels in certain ways. I mean, the original trilogy, that you have to, in some way, like what Anna was saying, appreciate these movies for at least some part of what they are.
Plus, we have pod racing, and that's one of my favorite things, of course. No, I mean, like I said before, I love cars, so I love anything racing. I'm a huge car enthusiast. Seeing pod racers for the first time, I mean, I watched this movie when I was around 10 years old, and I don't want to say my age, but yeah, first of all, like, this is my first memory of Star Wars. So there was two things that stood out to me. First of all, pod racing. Yeah. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. I want to drive one and be Anakin. And second of all, the lightsaber fights, because we are in a lightsaber inspired lightsaber combat class. So we love the fighting. So that for me was like, whoa. But pod racing, I mean, who comes with the idea of those kind of ships? Like, what is that? Yeah. And then, you know, he's able to like maneuver certain struggles through the race, and I don't know, the sound, everything was like, yes!
Yeah. So it was one of the first times in the prequel series that we hear like all the sounds, because like we didn't get a scene that like intense with like ship sounds since I think probably the
Empire.
I was gonna say the Death Star destroying scene, because that has such little dialogue in comparison.
That's true.
It's all like, I hope you guys like that sound effects.
Yeah, totally. I see.
Yeah, and I mean, again, because these are the prequels, and I think everything in the prequels gets criticism. Of course, there's criticism about the pod racing scene, especially now that's pod racing, even though that's not in the pod racing scene. But still, I think it's also a really cool scene. Yeah. And it also, again, shows Anakin's a good pilot, even though he's 8 years old. And Qui-Gon believes in him. And I think that's what gives Anakin that push to use the Force, even though he doesn't know what it is. It's like, now that he has somebody believing in him, he's like, oh, I have to do this well, and he uses the Force without even acknowledging it.
Yeah, I totally see that. And then transitioning to our last part of our Episode 1 series, we have the fights. We had to talk about it because, like we mentioned before, we love the fighting in Star Wars. And you want to start?
So, in my heart, I want to say I like the original trilogy fights infinitely more for infinite amount of reasons. There's so much more emotion in it, and it's a lot more, you know, just like, you see Vader is toying with Luke. You see Luke is falling to the dark side. You see the emotion that they don't need to convey because it's going on in the fight. In this movie, however, it's mostly just flashy and really pretty choreography, which I really like because this fight is one of my favorite fights. But I do appreciate the original trilogy fights more. I don't know. I'm very conflicted because I really like this one, but I can't say I like it more. So
I totally understand.
I don't know.
The prequels fight sets a different tone. Like you said, and we talked about it in our fighting episode. This is more the choreography. This is more about like, oh, you can really fight. Instead of the original trilogy, which is like, why are you fighting? Or what are you fighting for? And like, what are you transmitting in the fight? Like, there's so much emotion, like you said.
Yeah, in the original trilogy, the fights are more like a conversation that is happening. While in this, it's like, we need to beat you, and we need to beat you right now.
Yeah, so, it brings more of the kendo style. We see a lot of more practice in these movies, and there's a bunch of videos of Ewan McGregor. I'll post them on Facebook. Really he's amazing.
The lightsaber sounds every time.
Yeah, and I mean, and plus, this 5-minute fight
5 minutes, guys.
5 minutes.
5 minutes long.
Like, if you guys ever try to look for a saber guild or like any inspired saber class around your area, it's not as easy. And 1 minute, 3 minutes, it's already like you're dying. So this was a lot. And we see the amazing John Williams doing what he's best known for, because that music in that scene is by far one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It just gives you that hype, like it's everything.
So my top 3 Star Wars songs is Binary Sunset will always far, far, far exceed any song in Star Wars. But so that one. Then Battle of Heroes, which is Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar. And then Duel of Fates. Duel of Fates and Battle of Heroes are very close though, and I really want to fight to that song.
So we're gonna work on it. We'll post a video when we do.
Yeah.
We're gonna start. Well, the Amazing Julie is the one that knows every fight, because I don't have patience for that. Even slow mo, I'm like, no, just give me what I have to do. So we're gonna notate this fight.
Yeah.
And sorry, I got scared with the lighting. We're gonna notate this fight, and then we'll show you guys. And I'll be playing Qui-Gon,
and I will be playing Maul
because she's good at stuff. And we'll have Molly playing Obi-Wan, and you met her before in our episode about.
It was episode 4, right?
Yes,
episode 4. Molly will be playing Obi-Wan. She's gonna kill me.
It's gonna be very interesting, but let's see. I'm very excited because it also makes you appreciate this fight even more.
I agree.
So yeah, and now we're gonna talk. We posted. I know we should have done this a little bit more ahead of time, but we posted this morning if anybody had any comments, questions about episode 1 that you guys wanted us to discuss. For next time, we will post it in advance, and so we don't miss any if you guys post while we're recording right now.
So on our Facebook page, one of my friends had commented on our post, and Cameron, he asked, "What do you guys think of the training age limit for training Jedi?" Do you want to start off, or should I? Okay, so this was one of the biggest issues, I think, throughout this movie regarding Anakin's acceptance into the Jedi Order and becoming a Padawan. Because he is 8 years old, it's different, you know? All the Padawans are taken from their families very, very young. I think to the point almost where they, like, barely remember them.
Yeah, I mean, we hear stories in Clone Wars and Rebels where they're not, like, their family becomes their master.
Yeah.
They don't really know about their parents.
Like, they acknowledge that they have them sometimes, and then that's it. And Anakin is taken a little bit older, so he knows his mother. And like I mentioned earlier, I have a feeling, and so does my mom, because my mom is biased about mothers. She thinks,
she's a psychologist.
Yeah. So she thinks that part of the reason why Anakin fell was because of his loss from his mother. You don't have that mother, you're like, he experienced the motherly love and then was taken away from it. And he always like feared for her, like, I'm going to come back to get you. And I do think that age training really, really affects, not so much in the sense of the Force. And like, I mean, because Ezra is also way older by the time that he starts training to be a Jedi, and so is Luke.
A teenager.
Yeah. And so I don't think it's necessarily with the Force and with lightsabers and all that stuff. I think it has more to do with your lifestyle of the Jedi Order, because of attachments and chaos and harmony and all that stuff. No emotion, but peace. Like, it's more about like lifestyle, and that's why they start so young, I think.
Yeah, so I feel like it's also very focused on attachment, and that's the main reason why.
The big one. Yeah, I was going to say something else about the age difference, but I don't remember. So.
But thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron. Good question.
And then we have a comment from Mr. Tim 501st, Mr. Bader. And he says, I am in the minority and love that episode. I mean, after today.
Yeah. Obviously
I've always liked it since before. I'm not a prequel hater, so I don't feel like you're in the minority too. So I feel like a lot of people, and lately I've been listening to different podcasts, and they're also like, "Oh yeah, my favorite episode is episode 2," and you're like, "Wow, I wouldn't expect that." But
episode 2 was my favorite as a kid.
So
weirdly enough, and that was my least favorite. But whatever. I think episode 1, from what I've heard, from people who aren't and from people who are prequel haters, they actually say that episode 1 is their favorite out of the prequels.
Yeah.
Because of just like it's very different than episode 2 and 3 with Qui-Gon and Darth Maul and everything.
Yeah. But we do understand there's a lot of criticism, so I feel like that's why comments like this come around.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so like, this is actually like a risky episode even. Like recording this and saying we like it, it's like, we're gonna get some backlash maybe.
It's okay. We all have our opinions and we won't be haters to those that don't like this episode. Like, you're entitled to your own opinion. You just have to respect others and be nice and not be mean to other Star Wars fans. We're
like
cool
most prequel haters.
It's okay.
Although I do feel like people who say episode 3 is their favorite are wrong. But again, all about opinions.
And then we have our friend Ian, who says, "You can discuss the best score in all of Star Wars, Duel of the Fates. Tell me I'm wrong, I'll fight you," with that song in the background. So challenge accepted, Mr. Ian. I don't think you have a chance. But no, I'm kidding. It is, like we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the best.
One of the best. It gets you hyped.
The score is amazing. I think it's one of my favorites. And to not have John Williams do anything for 20 years and then come back with this one, it's just like, oh, this is why he is here. This is why he's part of Star Wars. And still is part of Star Wars.
It draws the anxiety of the fight with the It's all like you're getting more and more hyped up. Like that's what the music's intended to do. Like film and music is like one of my really big things, especially when it comes to John Williams music. So hearing this was amazing because it does so much for that scene in that movie. I'm sure if we listened to it on like mute, the fight would be completely different.
Oh yeah, or like putting something different. I don't think it will be as intense as how it is right now, for sure. And then the last one.
Oh, I don't know what she said.
Okay, I'll read it. So she says, "I have many favorite John Williams scores, but that one I always hear in my head when I duel." And she's part of our duel class. So
Victoria.
Yes, Victoria, sorry. She says, "Can we discuss midichlorians?"
Okay, so I kind of mentioned it earlier already. I think midichlorians are the whole, like, the science fiction behind the sci-fi. I mean, behind the science fantasy. I'm not a fan of midichlorians. I will say it right off the bat. I think that the existence of them kind of negates the Force and the magic, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. But I will accept it and appreciate it for what it is.
I'm the total opposite. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
This is what brings me like to that little magic part of it, and like how Anakin is so different, and I love Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
So especially in Clone Wars. So I feel like, brings like, he's no ordinary Jedi. He has the level of midichlorians, I can't even say it, that no one has ever had, not even Yoda. So for me, it makes him extra special. So I'm all for it. I know there's a lot of people that's gonna hate that I said that, but whatever.
I mean, it definitely differentiates him from everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but I'm just not a fan that the Force isn't like this. It's not the luminous beings we are with the crude matter. Like, no, technically the midichlorians are crude matter. That they are like a biological substance that happens in the universe. I like the fact that the Force accuses people and it's magical, not necessarily. I don't know. It's very complicated.
But I feel like it also chooses and it also explains why after a while his level is so high that he may become Vader.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like I feel like it also goes into place with the Force. It's not something like a part. It's part of it, and it's chosen one. Really.
I also like that after this movie, they like almost never mention midichlorians again because of the backlash it got. They're like, we're dropping that. So yeah, so those were all the questions and comments we got. But hopefully next time you guys ask more. But thank you to all those who did ask us and stuff, because I think this was like a really cool little segment that we should start doing in the episodes.
Yeah.
And we hope you guys liked our first review, analysis, whatever this was. Discussion of episode 1. We will be making episode 2 eventually. We will be making season 2 of Rebels eventually. And then, we'll just start off from there and see how this goes. That's it for today, right?
Yes.
All right. So may the force be with you all, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.